honeymooners, couples in crisis, amateur neurochemists, and pleasure connoisseurs. I'm so glad that you have decided to join me. Today, we will be discussing dopamine, aka the high. You know, that person you just can't stop thinking about? The one who makes your heart race, your mind spin, and your whole world feel electric? Well, it is not just fate. In fact, that is dopamine. If oxytocin is the glue that binds you, dopamine is the spark that ignites and the chemical that keeps you pursuing and chasing more. So, let's talk a little bit about the science of desire. Dopamine is your brain's reward chemical, the neurotransmitter that drives wanting, craving, and pursuing. Dopamine is not about satisfaction. It is about that anticipation. That is why falling in love can feel so addictive. Because your brain's reward circuitry is firing in overdrive. Dopamine response spikes higher and higher. It's called reward prediction error. The more uncertain the outcome, the more your brain craves it. It's the exact mechanism that drives the success of a slot machine at a casino. It is the high of maybe. It plays a large part in motivating you to pursue pleasure, novelty, and connection. Every time you see, text, touch, or even think about someone new, dopamine lights up your brain's reward system. The same one that is activated by gambling, cocaine, and that just one more click, just a little more scrolling feeling that you get from social media. This feeds into the addiction loop. The dangerous part, dopamine loves unpredictability. When reward is inconsistent, when affection comes and goes, when someone is hot and then cold, dopamine reward spikes even higher. It is called reward prediction error. The more uncertain the outcome, the more your brain craves it. It is the same mechanism that slot machines use. The high of maybe. And it can be deeply addictive. That is a big part of why chaotic relationships can feel so magnetic. The chase becomes the reward. You are not just falling for the person, you are falling for the chemical rush that they create in your brain. And you are associating that rush with that person. The downside, there is always a crash. Like any high, dopamine can and will crash as the levels in your brain begin to plummet. Once that relationship stabilizes, things feel stable, predictable, and routine. The dopamine begins to drop off. So your brain stops chasing. You already have what you want, and the novelty is gone. This is where many relationships hit a stumbling block. Fireworks fade, and people begin to mistake the quiet for boredom, when really this is just the chemistry of your relationship evolving. Your brain is shifting from the thrill of pursuit to the calm of long-term attachment. And this is not a bad thing. In healthy relationships, this is where oxytocin and endorphins take over. The chemicals that facilitate safety, bonding, and long-term commitment. But if you are wired for intensity, or if your system equates chaos with connection, or connection with chaos, calm can feel like withdrawal. This is where attachment style interacts with neurochemistry. People with anxious attachment styles tend to desperately crave oxytocin. They seek closeness, connection, and lots of reassurance in order to feel safe. So when dopamine begins to fade, they instinctively try to reignite it through touch, validation, or emotional connection. But avoidantly attached people experience the opposite. Under emotional stress or intimacy, their oxytocin receptors actually downregulate. Basically, their brain turns the volume down on bonding. So when that dopamine begins to fade, they are unable to access calming and connecting reward that oxytocin offers. Instead of feeling soothed by closeness, they feel overwhelmed by it. That is why avoidant partners often pull back when things get serious or even just get comfortable. They are physically unable to feel the chemical safety that their partner is craving. And the anxious partner, sensing that withdrawal, reaches in harder, triggering the cycle that they both get trapped in. One chases dopamine and oxytocin. The other craves dopamine but is unable to access it and avoids oxytocin. Neither feels safe, happy, or secure. Understanding this is not about blame. It is about awareness. Because if you are not aware, you can't make changes and move forward towards a healthier relationship and a healthier you. If you are anxiously attached, you are not needy. You are seeking chemical stability. If you are avoidant, you are not just cold. Your nervous system is trying to protect you from overwhelm. Once you know how your chemistry responds to love, you can stop personalizing the pattern and start working with them consciously and effectively. Consciously, proactively, and effectively. Dopamine is not bad. It is essential. It is the spark that draws us together. But love cannot live on dopamine alone. Real lasting connection comes when we balance that spark with the grounding effects of oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. That is what transforms neurochemistry into long-term compatibility. So, dopamine is the high, the chemical of pursuit, passion, and craving. It makes love exciting, addictive, and alive. But when that rush fades, and it always does, that is not the end of love. That is an invitation to begin building something deeper. When you stop chasing that high and start creating safety, you move from infatuation to real intimacy, and from fireworks to candlelight. That is when love stops functioning as a mere drug and begins to become medicine that can heal your heart and your soul. Next time, we'll be discussing serotonin, the balance. This is the quiet chemical that keeps your mood steady and explains why early love often feels more than a bit obsessive. Mature love feels grounded. All that and more next time on The Pleasure Practice.